Let's spend some time talking about foreign investment. Nilkant Mishra, as far as foreign portfolio investment is concerned, the calendar year which ends was a rough year. We barely had any net foreign portfolio investment coming into India. As you mentioned, that's on account of how attractive US assets look at this time. Do you see that continue all through next year? I was interviewing Ruchir Sharma some time back. He said he expects that at some point in time the American bond market is going to start pushing back against Trump's policies, and that could be the time when foreign money starts moving back into India. What's your outlook as far as how foreign investors are looking at the Indian stock market is concerned?
Yeah, and before that, let me quickly endorse what Ratan said, that while there will be a lot of global volatility, the major drivers of Indian growth are internal. So while we should pay heed to what's happening globally and try to take advantage of it. In fact, one of the things that has happened is China Plus One is now back in focus. So with Trump coming back, most global firms are re-looking at their global manufacturing, and there is another opportunity for us to take advantage of trying to become an alternative to China. So, but at the same time, I think it is internal policies that will drive a large part of our growth change. On the foreign portfolio investors, see, only about 14-15% of the investment in India is through India dedicated funds. In fact, it's actually less than that, most likely. Most of it comes through either sovereign wealth funds or emerging market funds or Asia funds or BRICS funds or global funds. And they have a very different prism through which they evaluate the world. If the US 10-year yields are high, then every other asset class gets a lower weighting. On what happens during the course of the year, I think very likely that we start off the year with an increase in yields. We have seen some of that already. Maybe the markets are expecting it and pricing it in. But if the 10-year yields go up to a certain level, so in fact, what we have forecasted, what we have said is that stated policies by the US president, the president-elect, will mean an increase of about $7.8 trillion in debt over the next 10 years. Bond markets, which are the only way to discipline him because both sides of the legislature are now under Republican control, will mean it's only the bond markets which will discipline him, and therefore the increase in debt would only be about $3.5–4 trillion. Which by itself would mean that 10-year bond yields remain quite high. During the course of the year, given that there is a very high interest cost burden now starting to affect the US federal balances, the likelihood of financial repression or a restart of financial repression is something that I think can actually push the dollar down. So right now, the trade-weighted dollar is appreciating because of the higher interest rates. But once, say, post-June, the Japanese central bank gets some room to act. By then, the political uncertainty in Spain and in France and Germany would be over. The euro can actually start rebounding. And then I wouldn't be surprised if at the end of the year, the trade-weighted dollar is actually much weaker than where it is, say, in late January, early February. So the right way to look at the USD INR, the Indian exchange rate, the Indian currency, is to allow for a wider trading band instead of trying to keep it too stable. So it is quite likely that it ends the year closer to 86, maybe 86.5, and doesn't have to go to 90 if the USD CNY is not changing. But either way, I think the very low volatility of the rupee is something which is creating some risks, and I think it should be allowed to be a lot more volatile.